everybody, my name is Jack Maloney, and this is Team Dinner. My guest today is Kendra Middleton. You may have seen her on, or heard her on Sports Hub, listened to her on covering any number of Boston sports teams, or seen her on Twitter, where I must say you are probably your most prolific on Twitter. It is something to behold. So you're doing a good job. I know sometimes it feels like you're shouting in the void.
Yes.
But keep shouting.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I will. That's the validation I needed.
Yes, and welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's dig in. We're eating today from Fuki Japanese cuisine, which again, really hard to go wrong. Let's load up the ginger.
Yeah, it's the best part.
And we'll I think we'll start with the hard-hitting questions, which
Perfect.
is, as a Jaguars fan in New England, there can't be a ton, right? Do you have you made friends like that?
A ton, actually.
Really?
Yeah, randomly and through the internet. Mostly just out in public, because I think I even emailed you. I was like, should I wear?
Yeah.
I wear Jags gear everywhere. And they're like, I'll walk into a bar and someone will just be like, Kendra! Or like something like that, because I'm in a Jags jersey. But in my old apartment that I was telling you about earlier before we got on here, I was walking down the street with my dog and two of my friends to go get a coffee, and I was just in a Jaguars beanie, not even anything crazy, just like the old logo. And this woman stops me and she goes, Jaguars? And I was like, yes. And she goes, are you from Jacksonville? And I was like, yes. She was like, I'm from Jacksonville, and I run the Facebook page of Jaguars fans in Boston. And I was like, no way. So her and I have become quite good friends. I've met some people through her. And another time in my neighborhood, I was wearing a jersey walking down the street with my dog one time, and another guy that I passed, Jaguars hat. So there are definitely, even at bars, like people come up to me and be like, I thought I was the only Jags fan living here.
I love it.
So I would say maybe like once every couple months, but we exist. We're out here.
I like it, and I like that you are becoming known in this like hyper niche, right? This is like the nichest of niches of how many people are in the Facebook group?
I would say maybe 50, but
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I don't run it. I'm not on Facebook. I just, whenever she has like a little get together or something, it's nice to have a woman too. I feel like
Yep.
there's so many Jags fans that are just dudes, which is fine. Like, that's cool. I get that, but like, it's just different in sports when you can relate to a girl, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you are, I will say, the first Jaguars fan I have met in Boston.
I get that a lot.
I have met others, but never here.
Really? Okay.
So I guess first question, right? The NFL season is upon us. People have been waiting. What is your win total for the Jaguars this year?
So I have them winning. I can't decide if I feel 10 or 11 games. Their schedule's pretty tough. And the division's gotten a lot tougher. So the Texans obviously had a really good year last year. They made some really, really good improvements in the offseason. I think Indy's going to be fine. I think Indy's going to... Anthony Richardson, obviously, with his injury last year, needs a little bit of time to maybe figure it out. But I think that they're going to be a lot better. I think that they're maybe a 7 or 8 win team. The Titans... They're going to be the Titans. Yeah. So I think that it's going to be a really competitive division. Their schedule, like I said, is pretty tough. So I'm somewhere in between 10 and 11.
That's good. That's good. And then question, where are the Patriots at? It's going to be bad. You can be honest, because I think it's going to be really
hammered
bad.
the under on the Patriots.
At 4.5?
I think I got it at 5.5 when it first opened.
Yeah.
But even if it's at 4.5, I'd hammer it.
Yeah.
Just because, and depending on when this airs, we're kind of in the thick of the Judon stuff at the moment.
Yep.
So personally, do I think that they're going to trade him? No. Do I think they should? Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like Jacoby Brissett's having a really good camp. So I think it is Jacoby. It should be Jacoby.
Sure.
Drake needs the time to sit. They don't have a receiver that I think that he's really going to be able to mesh with right off the rip. I think Pop Douglas is probably going to be his best option.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the defense has a chance at being good. But with all the stuff going on with Christian Barmore and all, it feels like a little bit of a dumpster fire at the moment.
I know. I agree. I think my heart is over 4.5 wins. I think my head maybe says something. My friends are like, and I get it because I am like this way too. But they are like, 4.5 wins. This is easy money in the bank, and they're like, taking out a second mortgage on the over, and I'm like, guys, I don't think this is a good idea.
No.
I don't think we don't know anything really. We have no idea.
Well, and that's the thing too is like, Do I think Gerard's a great guy, and do I think that he has potential to be a great coach? Absolutely. Do I think that it was the right move for the Patriots? No. You need an offensive head coach. You're getting in a brand new young quarterback, and you're going to stick them out there with a defensive head coach. That's just not the way that these guys are progressing these days. And so I think that it could hinder him. There's just like everybody else, there's questions around, the staff that they've put together this year. So I think it's a lot of unknown. I think it's right to give them a year. My issue is going to be that I don't think that Patriots fans of now are used to this. The older ones, for sure. But like you and me, our generation, the in-betweens, whatever, they have no idea what they're about to go through. And as someone who's been through that, I can promise you, it's a whole world of hurt. So I think that there's going to be a lot of call for Drake early because they're going to be so bad. But I think people really need to take a step back and realize that might not be the best move.
Yeah, I agree. My one of my dearest friends is I think, absolute diehard but really articulate Jets fan. And he has been really, I think, trying to like talk me through it. He's like, you have like the Jets for like 30 years basically have been in this like, we get a QB, he's good, no he's bad, no he sucks, and then he's good, and it's just like in this like 3 to 4 year QB cycle. And he's just like, and he's right, the whole name of the game in the NFL is like getting out of that cycle, right? Like if you're in that cycle, you're never going to win anything.
Yeah.
If you're out of that cycle, at least you have a shot, right?
Yeah.
And there's like 10, 12 teams that are not in that cycle, maybe more. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though, like if you look at the draft, even if you draft a good backup, you can trade that for a second or third round pick sometimes. Yeah. So I don't hate the way that the Patriots not only took Drake May, but also took a gamble on Joe Milton. Do I think that Joe Milton is going to be, this prolific guy in the NFL?
Yeah.
No.
But he can throw the ball a million miles.
Exactly, whether it's going to hit the target or not. So I also like the fact that, he's sitting behind someone like Jacoby Brissett.
Yep.
Because I think that that's a guy that he can relate to for so many different reasons, right? And there's absolutely zero pressure on Joe Milton. It kind of gives, not that I think that him and Bailey Zappi are comparable players or comparable talents or comparable athletes, but it kind of gives the same vibe of Bailey being able to wait in the trenches of Mac and having no pressure and just being able to sit there and learn.
Yep.
And I think that's like the most dangerous spot for a potential backup to be. And do I think that he's probably going to stick around? No, but I don't rule him out. Yeah.
He could be like, he's going to be a guy who's like in 5 years, like lighting up Canadian football.
I was going to say, like the XFL.
Yeah, because he can throw the ball 200 yards. Yeah, I think that's right. Like, and expectations are like, it's like Mac Jones had unreasonable expectations and he suffered from them. People who have no expectations. Think about Tom Brady when he came in, no expectations. Bailey Zappi, no expectations. Yeah. Listen, you can only get so far, right? But it helps in the beginning if people have a little bit more understanding, a little bit more leeway of like, we're not expecting much out of you. So.
Yeah, I think also part of Mac's issue was just his attitude, right? Like, you can't be a starting quarterback in the NFL and just have a sour attitude or not be willing to learn or, publicly be screaming at your coaches on the sideline. Like, it's your first, second year in the league, whatever. Like, you cannot do that. And he was with the wrong coach for it, too.
Well, now he could be your quarterback.
No.
One play away. One play away.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. No.
Well, I think I think, not often the case, or maybe going forward the case, but I think, as a Jaguars fan in Boston, for the first time, or not, in a while, it hasn't been a situation where you've had the upper hand, and I think you unequivocally do.
I think Trevor could have a good year. I have this weird, also, if we weren't recording this, I would probably try and do this in one bite, but since this is maybe going to live on the internet forever, I'm going to cut it.
I'm going to try one bite.
Yeah. Because this, like, usually I wouldn't care, but this is a behemoth, okay?
Yep.
So we're going to do the safe route.
It's big if your hand's, like, shaking with the chopstick.
Yeah, right. But I have this crazy theory that has, like, absolutely no merit to it.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
I think that Trevor Lawrence, since he's having a baby and it's a girl, is going to have a good season because I have this theory that whenever athletes find out they're having a girl, that's their breakout season.
Okay. What has gone into formulating that opinion?
Not a whole lot. Just whenever I'm trying to think of examples now, and now that I'm on the spot, I can't. It's just whenever I find out someone's having a girl, I'm like, there you go.
All right, we could probably go back. Brady has a daughter. Maybe that year.
I thought that Scotty Scheffler was going to have a girl, but it was a boy.
Okay.
So that doesn't really help.
That doesn't work. Who are some other
Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
Girl dad.
Girl dad.
Won the championship year he had a girl.
I believe it. I'm trying to think of like prolific actors. Jesus, athletes that I know are.
LeBron has a girl.
Yep.
Dwayne Wade has girls.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
We have to go back and do a little triangulating on
when the babies were born. Yeah.
Well, I like it. Good luck.
That's my reasoning. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, I've believed crazier things with less evidence. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You've come to the right spot.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know. It just started in the last 6 months. And nobody really for me to point fingers at yet, but I said if Scotty Scheffler had a girl, he was going to go on this, rampage. Didn't have a girl, still the best golfer in the world. But this is now my full-on, I'm doing research into this take.
So you were right. The reason wasn't there.
Yeah.
I think you just need to. You're focusing on this. Don't even.
Yeah.
Just tell everyone you were.
Yeah, I should just be like, yeah, Bennett, girl.
Yeah. So, all right. So you cover a lot of different sports. Outside of let's call it the main four, right? What are you enjoying covering the most? What are you like getting the deepest into? And I've seen, a lot of F1 stuff. I know there's golf. You mentioned lacrosse before. Where are you most excited to be spending your time, like outside of the four main sports that everyone's talking about? Formula
One, no question. Yeah, it is such a good season, and there hasn't been a good season in a really long time. Just because I don't want to womansplain anything to you. Do you know Formula One?
But I don't know it. No, not really well at all. So I know the five main guys, basically. Yeah.
So Max Verstappen has been dominating for a few years now, and then before him it was kind of the Lewis Hamilton era. So it feels like, while I do think that Max and Lewis are still the best drivers, the machinery has really caught up in the last 13 months. There was this like iconic moment in Monaco last year where Red Bull's second driver, Checo, crashed and had to have his car lifted off the track at Monaco because it's just that type of track. And it was the first time, and this was an iconic car. It was the Red Bull 19, the RB19 that they put out last year. It was just an absolutely iconic car in the sport. So fast. And when you have not only the fastest car, but the best driver, it made for, really boring race days. Yeah. And that was the first time that the rest of the field was able to see the underneath of that car. And I feel like that's when this clock kind of started ticking for the catch up of, okay, can, McLaren catch up? Can Mercedes catch up? Can Ferrari catch up? And in the off season, everybody kind of really put in the work. They grinded it out. The regulations have also helped. Like last year, Red Bull was over budget, and nobody really knew what those repercussions were going to be, and they wound up just being practice laps. So that kind of makes your overspending worth it, right?
Yeah,
like if you get the fastest car, you put a little bit of extra money into it, and they're only punishing you by how much you can practice.
Right.
Max is going to go home and sit on the sim until 3:30 in the morning on race night anyway, so what does it matter?
Yeah.
So I feel it is just a far more even field. There's, really 3 teams in contention for a Constructors this year. And while I do think that it's quite impossible for Lando Norris to catch up to Max in the Drivers' Championship, I honestly don't rule it out because Max has had to have his power unit replaced. And if there's more problems with that, that's a 10-place grid penalty at any race. So that's a lot of points.
Yeah.
So, and it's summer break. Everybody's, out in the sun, catching up, get 3 weeks off, vibing. So we'll see. It's a really good season.
And how many more races are there this season?
I believe 12.
Okay. Wow, that is like legitimate passion. I was quite impressed by that, pretty much start to finish.
Cool, thanks. I appreciate it. I'll take that.
I think a lot of people I know who talk about Formula One are largely talking about it like within the context of the Netflix show, right? Which is good. I think that's interesting. It gets people in the door, but I don't think I've had too many people sort of lay down such a well-articulated thought or point of view. So you've I
actually haven't watched the newest season. I know I need to, but
you're living it.
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, I work with the Formula One arcade over in Seaport on the weekends. I host all of their races, so That's been really fun, but it's a growing sport, and it's growing in America too, because there was only one race for a long time, which was the Circuit of the Americas, COTA and Austin, and then it was Miami, and that just got extended for I think 10 more seasons, and then now you add the Vegas race in. There's 3 races here, and there's some of the biggest races that they have. Miami and Vegas for sure are probably in the top 6, 7 most expensive races to get to, if not the top 5. So
Do you go?
so yes, but because now that I'm working all the races at the arcade,
Right.
my schedule, I was supposed to go to the Netherlands race coming up, but they asked me to work. So, and I, like, weird as it is, the F1 community in Boston is really small, but everyone's so nice and so fun. And I'm going to say this and just know that I mean it with love. I love a geek. I love a nerd. And that's like the kind of person that's a Formula One fan. You know what I mean? It's either a mechanic or just an absolute car nerd. And I love a nerd. I love a geek. Sorry, I do.
And so is there like a consistent community at the what's it called, the arcade? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people show up every week for, the races, and they're early, so like they're dedicated,
Yeah.
So it's been a really good season. I'm having a lot of fun.
What a cool thing.
You gotta come race.
I know.
It's what the pros train on. Like those simulators are like actually what they drive.
Are you good at the simulator?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I just traded in my sports car.
That's what you start at?
And so it's hard. Yeah. So it's hard to drive a lowered sports car in Massachusetts in the winter. I must admit, I tried to hang on to her for as long as possible.
I thought you meant you started a sports car in the simulator.
No, I meant I just traded mine in. So I wasn't going in there blind.
Not practical, yeah.
No. So I wasn't going in there blind. I knew how to drive like a faster car or something, with gears, whatever. I'm only good at it because I do it consistently. If you go in there and you aren't an F1 driver, you better start on one of the easier options, because I go in there all the time and have driven probably 40 races at this point. I can't even, I hit the wall immediately and can't even back out of it.
I don't think I'd be very good.
And I love video games.
Yeah.
Like, I played competitively all through COVID. Like, I am really good at Fortnite. I'm really good at Call of Duty, and I cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot. It's so hard.
That is, and how many simulators are there?
Good
A lot.
question. I would say maybe there's definitely over 100.
That's cool.
It's a big place. And the food,
Okay.
so good.
What kind of food is it?
Their whole thing is like the upscale everything. So they have like caviar, seafood towers, steaks, like really nice whiskey. That's like kind of like the whole vibe of Formula One, and like the food's so good.
Yeah. To me, as a incredibly uneducated, layman on this stuff, like when I think of F1, I think of Monaco, right? Like that's just what I think the connection is. And if you like Monaco I went to Monaco once and was like, this is an insane place. This is just not a real. And I would imagine in replicating that vibe, you can't do, nachos and chicken fingers, right?
No.
It's just not.
You definitely can't. But I kind of like that about it,
Yeah.
Like, is it something that if you are, trying to save money, you should do all the time? No, but is it worth it?
Yeah.
Every once in a while?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I
also, it's the only place you can drink and drive.
It's true. That is true.
Which I will say, no, I don't condone it whatsoever. Don't drink and drive. Order an Uber. But if you take an Uber to the Formula One arcade and you have a couple glasses of champagne, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I bet
Get an Uber.
Champagne and they have fancy cocktails, I bet, right?
So good.
Like spritzes.
Edible
and all
flowers.
Yeah, very. All right, I'm gonna check it out.
Okay.
You've sold me. You're a good ambassador,
Thank you. I try.
both for the sport and for the arcade.
We are good.
This is good. You can't.
I'm excited for the salmon and strawberry.
I'm gonna slide it over to you.
Okay. These are really good too. You want to trade?
Yeah. All right, two. We'll cut
Hard
mine.
to eat. So good.
Cut mine. What is your do you have a go-to kind of comfort cuisine?
It's funny you ask that. So, I'm a real Southerner. I have to think to not have an accent.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
I have to think.
I genuinely grew up 45 minutes from the border of Georgia, not
Okay.
even. I have an emergency jar of grits in my pantry that I fly back with me whenever I go home because y'all don't sell them here.
No.
And even if y'all did, I don't want them.
Right.
So my comfort meal, if I'm feeling homesick or it's Shark Week or whatever, grits.
Grits.
And grits only. Cheese grits with butter and like shredded, just like cheddar cheese. And tons of pepper. Lots of pepper. Ugh, I love a warm bowl of grits.
So grits.
Yes.
That's when you need to pick me up or a warm blanket. Grits.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have it up here.
Have you ever had grits?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I was in New Orleans for 3 months
Yep.
once, and I kind of thought it was just like oatmeal. You know, like that's because again, no one really has it. I grew up here. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I don't have that
How'd you have them?
spiritual. I think they're at like every restaurant, right? Every breakfast restaurant. So I think it was mostly like a cheesy kind of like you kind of pull it up, right? And that like that's kind of in my mind.
That's the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, New Orleans they do a lot. I mean, New Orleans is I think pretty. That's where if I had said like, oh, I had it at a place here, you'd probably be like, this fucking joker doesn't know what he's talking about, right?
Unless it's bootleg special. That place actually
Okay.
really good like Cajun food. My dad was like a Cajun caterer on the side, so I grew up with Cajun food. So I have very high expectations for like any kind of Creole, Cajun, anything. They do a good job.
Okay, that's high praise. So like crawfish. Do you like crawfish?
If I'm in the right mood, I can suck a head off a mud bug. I gotta really be in the right mood. But yeah, I could, yeah, mud bugs there. Okay, have you ever been to a crawfish boil?
I have been to once.
Where they take the trash cans and it's the like 10-foot long table and they just pile them on.
And they just chug it. Yeah, this is what I'll say about all of that food. I like it a lot. I like the way people like you and people from that area describe it. I think you really do have to be of that place, right? I just don't think it translates. And I think
Mud bug doesn't translate.
Yeah, it's like it tastes like a little lobster, I guess, right? Or something resembling a little
Well,
lobster.
the brain's the delicacy.
Yeah, everyone's like, suck it out.
What was that?
Yeah, just suck it out. Okay, sorry, mister. But yeah, I don't know if that like southern comfort food, I like it. I don't know if I'm doing it right. Let's say that.
All right.
Yeah.
My death row meal is Waffle House.
Okay. I like Waffle House.
That would literally be my death row meal. All-star special, extra crispy hash browns, over easy eggs, bacon, biscuit, side of grits, chocolate chip waffle, and a black coffee because they got trucker coffee, and that shit slaps.
I do like Waffle House coffee.
So what would your death row meal be?
Tough. So mine would be probably a fried clam roll. I would say a clam roll. You know, again, we are of where we are of what we come from, right? I love a clam roll in the summer, Cape Cod kind of type thing.
Okay.
Buttery bun.
Hoity-toity, Mr. Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Me, mud bugs and Waffle House. You clam roll.
Fried. Yeah, exactly. At least I didn't say lobster roll.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll give you points for not being a basic bitch.
Yeah, a fried clam plate. I like all that sort of northeast seafood, fried seafood. Yeah, that would be it. And I will give a special shout out to my grandparents, my dad's side. From Ireland, grew up, moved here when they were kids, but that like I love like shepherd's pie. Like any type of like meat pie or anything like that. Like vegetables, some type of ground beef, seasoned beef, potatoes.
Yeah.
Like cooked in a casserole is like, that's like a thing where it's kind of the same thing, right? Like if you were like, oh, I was like, anytime shepherd's pie is on the menu, I'm like, yeah, shepherd's pie. My wife's like, what is wrong with you?
Where's she from?
Chicago.
Okay.
does not relate to that. Yeah, so that would be my other one is I love shepherd's pie
Okay.
because there's a connection, right? You know, it's like you ever go to England and people just eat like cold ham
I
and
was
like
there in
beans.
March. Worst food.
It,
And people get pissed
They
off when you
love it.
say that.
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
I've made, because I work with Formula One and, you know, I'm in England a bit for work and whatnot now. I've made friends with a bunch of Brits. And if you talk shit about the food in London, they don't have guns, but they're ready to shank your
Yeah,
ass.
no
Like,
doubt.
they're like, no, you don't think beans on toast is a delicacy and you think our coffee sucks?
yeah.
Uncultured swine, you American. It's like, well, I mean, you guys must not have taste buds because this is terrible.
The English breakfast is bad.
It's so bad.
It's
And
bad.
like New England doesn't have any diners, and I would say that's the one thing that makes
Yeah.
me really mad is there's no late night food here and there's no
Yep.
diners.
It's true.
But at least when they're open, they're good,
Yeah. You got to go a little bit outside of Boston, I think, to get to a diner.
which is weird.
Yeah, there's Donut Villa by in Malden, right
Okay.
over the Medford Malden line. That's actually pretty good. There's some in like kind of on the like the diners are gone from like
You got to go to like Dunkin' and Encore if
Yeah.
you're out
Yeah.
past 2 a.m.
yeah
Like that's your option.
the Dunkin', McDonald's. The late night food is bad. I mean it's all of.
It's
I mean Boston has a long way to go. I think on a lot of things.
it's pizza or, you know, wannabe North End pasta. I don't
Yeah.
know what this is, but it looks good.
It's beef. It's yakitori beef
The inside's crunchy.
in a good way. In a kind of way.
It's definitely green onion.
Yeah.
If it were warm, I think it would definitely be better. Now I need your reaction to this.
It was once warm.
It was once warm.
So where in all right, so you've been in Boston a little over 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a restaurant that someone's coming into town for one night only, you get to show them any restaurant? Is there one that you sort of found yourself going to?
Highland Kitchen in Somerville.
Yeah.
I love the Highland Kitchen. There or I don't know, there's some good digs over in Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
I do love Lamani and Seaport, but probably Highland Kitchen.
Yeah.
They have a brisket and gnocchi
Yep.
that is to die for. And I eat a lot of food. I go a lot of places. Like, I make a lot of food content, so I feel like I'm in and around town.
Yeah.
Highland Kitchen. I will say the consistency of Highland Kitchen is
Yeah.
also one of those things that I appreciate because I feel like there's a lot of spots in town where you go in once and it's a great meal, and then you go in again and it's
Yeah.
an off night or whatever. I've never missed at Highland Kitchen.
I agree. I used to live right down the street from there.
Me too.
It's the best.
Yeah, I used to live in Somerville and I loved Highland Kitchen.
What they have a good fried chicken sandwich is good. Is that a special or
I
is
think
it on
it's.
the menu?
I want to say it's a special. I think Monday or Tuesday nights they do the fried chicken.
good.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm a big Highland Kitchen fan. I'm trying to think what else. There's a Creole restaurant over in that neighborhood too. That's really good.
Right.
That on that corner.
Highland, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that spot. That whole neighborhood's really good. Taco Loco over in that neighborhood in Somerville. I know that Taco Loco sounds, like the basic taco shop name, but that place is authentic and it's really good. And they squeeze their own juice.
In East Somerville, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, I lived basically where that Creole restaurant is. Like you could throw a baseball from.
I lived like two
This is so
streets from
weird.
there before I moved.
This
Yep.
is so weird.
Yeah. Great neighborhood.
And then how have you found the food generally? I think Boston it's kind of this is what I'll give you my opinion first, okay?
Okay.
Not to so you can eat for a second because I'm making you talk too much. So I grew up here, left for almost 14 years, came back. I was not expecting much. I've been really pleasantly surprised with the food. I would say in Boston itself, it's just I think it's so expensive to open a restaurant there that you have to kind of do certain things that I don't love necessarily. Like it's just you have to. It's expensive and everything is like. With all the pomp and circumstance,
Yep.
which isn't really what I like, but I understand why they have to do it because rent is probably $50,000 a month and you have to do dumb shit when you have to pay that much
Yep.
money. But like if you go outside, like if you go to Cambridge, Somerville, Medford, Malden, I found like the food to be like almost shockingly good.
Yeah.
But like not the stuff that anyone's talking about.
Yeah.
If people are talking about it, it's probably bad or past its sweet spot. And if they're not talking about it, and it's just like some little local place.
Yeah.
I found it to be quite good. So that's my 2 cents on the matter.
I would agree with that. I feel like the further you go outside the city, I will say Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
It's awesome.
Incredible food
awesome.
scene. I would drive up to Portsmouth once a week to get food if it weren't so far. But the further outside the city, the better it gets. Like Newburyport has good food.
Yep.
Just that whole, even like if you cross the bridge from Portsmouth to Kittery, the food in
Yep.
Kittery is really good. But I had never considered the cost of rent situation, so I feel like maybe that does take away from the food scene a bit. But being from somewhere where the food scene is like, I get that everything is so bad for you. If I still lived there, I probably would not be in my best shape either. But that's just the vibes. But I've lived in Florida, California, Alabama, Atlanta for a little while. I was up in New Hampshire. I'm in Mass now. Like, I've lived all over. And is the food better here than it was in Alabama? Yes. Overall in New Hampshire outside of Portsmouth?
Yeah.
Yes. Is it better than San Francisco, Atlanta, or Jacksonville?
No.
No.
Yeah.
And people hate that take, but it's true. Like,
No.
there's only so much you can do with seafood and pasta.
Yeah.
And that's all that there is here. Huge Italian population, huge Irish population. Do the Irish have great food? No offense. No. The Italians, you can only do so much with it. Outside of that, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think I think it's that rent piece, I think it's like liquor licenses too, right? I think that when you don't have a lot of liquor licenses, it's impossible for a restaurant to make money.
Yeah.
Without selling, like the margin on food is not there, and then you make all your money on booze. When you constrain the liquor licenses, they don't open restaurants, so big chains come in and buy it. So I think it's like set up to not allow for like innovation and anything cool, and like people aren't really taking risks, because if you take a risk and it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
In a city where you can just open a liquor license like tomorrow, open a restaurant with a liquor license tomorrow, you can take a risk, it doesn't work out, you change the concept, and you're back up and running in 6 months. Whereas here it's you're like $5 million in debt, you're bankrupt,
Yeah.
and you're screwed. So
Yeah, I definitely get that. Although I feel like a lot of places that I go have been open for quite some time, and maybe that's why I'm going there. But since COVID, I feel like there's been like a pretty steady, like people have kept their restaurants around, it seems.
yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, I think there's just people are just like so starved for stuff to do
Yeah.
in here, and there's just like it's the whole nightlife thing is like liquor licenses, and place like Portsmouth or Portland, Maine, if you've been up there.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Going there on Tuesday.
It's amazing. That's, to me,
Yeah.
Portland, Maine is like the
Happy hour.
it's the best. Oh yeah, and there's no happy hour.
And everything closes so early.
Yep.
We're one of the biggest cities in the country. How are we not open past 2?
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It's not even really 2, right? It's like
Yeah.
1.
And that's I assume you don't know who Dom Dalla is.
I don't think so.
But he's like a huge DJ right now, and
Okay.
I went to see him at, I'm not going to say the name of the venue just because I don't want to give them bad, but usually I love this venue, but this was pretty lame. He played there last year, and at 1:30 they made him get off the stage.
Right.
Didn't even tell him, just cut his shit. And he had to put out a statement saying, hey, that wasn't up to me. I would have partied with you guys all night. Like, sorry about it. Catch you next time.
I look like someone who doesn't know who Dom Dalla is. Because you nailed it.
Thank you. Yeah, but he didn't even go on until 1 because they assume that they can
Right.
play or whatever.
Right.
And it was like 12:45-ish when he finally went on. So he'd been on for 45 minutes, and everyone was like, what the hell, man?
Right.
And thought it was his
then
fault, but he
mad
made
at
him get
him.
off the stage.
Yeah, I think that's like a big area for improvement here, right? Is like it's hard to have like a fully realized night. It's like not even that hard. Just don't control liquor licenses and like let people stay open a little bit later, and you would see, in my opinion, like within a year you would have a completely different like vibe of the city.
Yeah. Or just, let people have buy one, get one free margaritas.
Yeah. Oh yeah, happy hour too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I've
It's-
heard,
that law started before Uber was a thing.
I think that law started like,
The 80s, I think, right?
is it? I
Yeah.
don't know. Well, here's the thing. I'll talk out of both sides of my mouth. My mom grew up in Virginia. She moved to Cambridge in like the late 70s. She said she lived right by the Porter Square T stop, and she said that when she would go to work in the morning, all the construction workers who had worked the night shift would be like pouring out of the bar. You know, they'd be at the bar from like 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. And she was like, it was a problem. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like these men were problematic. So you're like trying to like get on the subway to go like to your office job in Boston, and you have just like people who are like blind drunk, right? Who are like just behaving in ways that are, you know, appropriate at no time, but certainly least of all at 7, 8, 9 a.m. So I can understand. I will give the most leeway possible and say, yeah, maybe in years past and generations past, this behavior needed to be controlled some. I don't think we're like that anymore. I don't think we need to be, you know, and maybe I'm wrong, right? But I think I agree with you. I think let's give people the opportunity to prove themselves.
It's been 40 years. We have Uber. Like, everything's on the internet now, so if you want to be a jerk, be a jerk. You're going to wind up on Barstool Sports.
That's right.
It's, you know, and just put a time on it, like 5 to 7 p.m. or whatever. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be 5 to 9 a.m. Buy one shot, get 11 free. Like, that's not how it has to be.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that there's ways to do it right.
Yeah, I know. I would, part of me would have loved to, like, see that time, right?
I think that for you, yes. If I were getting on the tee and some dude was doing, I'd probably suck him.
Yeah, I think and I think people were life was a lot harder back then too, right? And so I think that drunk was like, that was probably carrying a lot of darkness.
Homeostasis.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, is that, you know what? I'm gonna come for the older generation for a second, and I've said this on the air a few times. It drives me absolutely bananas how our parents' generation is like, oh, the kids these days are so soft. They're, you know, such babies, blah, blah, blah. They're on TikTok. It's like, how do you as a parent not crave a softer lifestyle for your child? That's the point of reproducing. You're not sending your kids, like, even my brother's age, we're 10 years apart. Like, my parents didn't want to send him to, you know, war in Afghanistan when he was a Marine or whatever, or, you know, slaughtered the way people used to be in war, or with a guillotine or whatever. That's why we've gotten here. Yeah. Is because over time, naturally, you crave a softer lifestyle for your next generation. Who wants to watch their child suffer?
Yeah.
And it's like, to be honest, you're the people that raised that generation. So if you have an issue with it, that's kind of your fault.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, if you're like, generationally, if you're like 70 to 80 years old, you have largely like created the world that we are all of us are living in, right? And so for better or worse, you have, you know, sat by and let it happen, or you have been actively creating it. And yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck old people.
Yeah, I can't wait for your stuff to be at Goodwill.
Yeah.
They do have baller stuff, like style from the 70s, like.
Do you like to go to like estate sales?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Me and my girlfriends have errand days once a month.
Okay.
Where we'll go to all the thrift stores in the suburbs where all the rich people live, and then we'll go to Target and get Starbucks.
Have you found anything good?
Oh my God, yeah. I've been thrifting for years. Like, I grew up very low middle class, so that was like kind of the way we did things, right? Like, I grew up on an orange farm. My dad was a fireman, and my mom worked a desk job. Mm-hmm. And, like, that was just how it was. Like, we weren't starving by any means, but, like, my parents definitely, like, did not know, like, where, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that's just how it was. Yeah. Love you, Mom, mean it. You're a goat.
They weren't at the F1 arcade.
No. And now my mom's a single parent, so, like, it's just, it's different. But, like, that was how a lot of stuff came for us, like, even our sports equipment and stuff at times. And so, like, I've learned to, like, really appreciate stuff like that. Yeah. But the big thing that I love to find at a thrift store, once again, very niche, there are these prison purses from, like, depends on the era, but before, like, you know, like, when people go to jail, like, they'll learn kind of, like, a trade so that they can get a job when they get out. Yeah. There was this time in, like, the 70s and 80s and, like, on through, like, the early 90s where men were working, like, significantly, like, in the South, Florida, Cuba, stuff like that, in leather works of, like, alligators, snakes, stuff like that. So now you can find prison purses that are made out of snake and alligator leather from way, 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 like, decades ago that prisoners made.
How do you know?
They're very specific style, and they're usually embossed.
Okay.
So I have found 3 prison purses in my time. One when I was in college at Auburn in Alabama. I have a Cuban one that I found in Massachusetts, and then I have one that was made in Puerto Rico. And the one that I have from Cuba, full on has a baby alligator skull.
Oh my god.
Like, in the leather.
So this is a Cuban prisoner?
Yeah.
So a prisoner in Cuba.
Made my prison purse.
I thought you said prism at first. I thought it was like Studio
Nope,
54.
prison.
Yeah, prison.
Yep.
Prison purse. It sounds like a...
it means something else. It does. But that's what this was I think the OG term, or whoever named this did not know.
Yeah, if you're in prison and someone asks to see your prison purse, you probably want to go in the opposite.
Well, it depends. You bartering? I don't know.
Well,
I was wondering if you were gonna pick up on that.
the old prison purse.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad. So you're on the lookout for prison purses.
Yeah, but you can find a lot of... I'm telling you. I can't believe I'm giving away this secret, but go to where all the rich people live. If you want to thrift...
Go to Weston, Wellesley.
Go to, like, the Cape, all those... They got the best thrift stores, because rich people don't care what they're... I've got Gucci, I've got Prada, I've got Christian Dior.
Yeah.
I've got these prison purses, because people just don't either care or know what they're giving away.
In prison, this is like there's like a community of people that know what prison purses are.
Very, 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 very small. It's mostly me and like 75-year-old cat ladies on Facebook, but yes.
So you're like people are talking and...
I mean, I'm sure, but I found out about this from a woman who I bought it from when I lived in Alabama.
Okay.
Who, like, she
gave you
knew about them and educated me, and then I was like, whoa, what do you mean a prisoner made this? Maybe I should start writing love letters to prisoners.
Yeah, that's how it starts.
Make me nice bags. I don't know.
So do you think they're not making anything in prison anymore, are they? I don't know. Like license plates?
Okay, once again, very niche. I follow girls who are married to prisoners on the internet.
Did they meet while the man was in prison already?
Either they were dating
thing.
and they got sent to jail because they got caught,
Yeah.
or a lot of these girls sign up to be pen pals with these prisoners and fall in love with them. But I will say, prisoners low-key kind of the move, because they will like make you jewelry, they'll write you notes.
So much time.
That's what I'm saying. And they're like, sometimes they'll knit you a sweater. Some of these girls get, I'm like, these guys are crafty and they have a lot of time, and all they have to do is think about you. Like, there's no other women in prison.
Are these men going away for the rest of their lives, or is there like a happy ending?
Usually, the girls that I follow, I think one of the girls, her man has like 7 years left in prison, and then another one has like 2.
Okay.
But there's definitely a community on TikTok of like girls who like make their living talking about how their partner's in prison.
I think I saw one. It was like, get ready with me for like my conjugal visit.
Yes, I follow her. Yes, I follow that girl. I watched that whole tutorial.
I did see that once and was like, well, and then all of a sudden, like 3 minutes later, you're like, well, shit, I just watched that entire video.
Yep. And she's talking about how her man like got sent to jail. So good. I also follow hot mugshots on Instagram, and it's just really sexy people with mugshots.
Do you remember the guy who like he was like kind of like looked like a model? Like this was maybe like 10 or 15 years ago.
That's how he got found, was that Instagram page.
So you want to know something funny? I'm living in LA. I'm sitting, working, trying to, get ahead, trying to just hustle anything I can, right? I'm sitting eating McDonald's for lunch one day, and I'm sitting in my shitty old car. I'd been there for just a couple years, and I'm just like sitting there alone eating McDonald's, and a brand new like Range Rover, just like souped up, pulls into the parking lot next to me and parks, and the door opens, and that guy gets out of this like $100,000 car, let's say, right? Mm-hmm. And he gets out and he goes into a store, and I'm just sitting there. And I'm like looking up, and he was like, selling like meth or whatever it was that got him in trouble for the first time. And then he got a big modeling career out of it because of that thing. And then now he's like driving this car.
Yeah.
And I remember just like having this moment of being like, all right,
should I go to jail?
Yeah, like what am I doing wrong? How can I do this with this man who was like literally selling meth like 3 years ago is now
in a
like
Range Rover.
Yeah, now going into like a jewelry store, hopping out of a Range Rover, and I'm in like my old CRV eating like a value meal hamburger.
Yeah.
So that's my hot mugshot story. Really.
I was gonna say, are you telling the kids to sell meth right now?
Hey, whatever it takes. Right?
Sometimes you gotta sell a little meth.
Whatever it takes. You could work really hard your whole life, get nowhere, or you can get arrested. I guess it's just the lesson is like be good looking.
If you're hot, get arrested.
Yeah, that's the lesson. It's not. No, the lesson is not sell drugs. The lesson is do whatever you need to be hot. and then do anything you want and it'll work out.
It's like, have you seen the meme of Brady before he was really sexy? And it's like, you're not ugly, you're just poor.
Yeah.
Literally what it is.
I haven't seen that, but I can imagine it. Yeah. And then he gets famous, and all of a sudden his jawline is like.
Yo, Ozempic, baby.
Ozempic. Is he an Ozempic?
I don't think so, but there was a question about it for a while because, like, the big side effect of Ozempic is it makes your, like, cheeks cave in. And that was, like, when that whole picture of him went viral with his, like, cheeks kind of concave. That would. But that's, like, one of the side effects. I don't think Tom Brady needs Ozempic, though. He doesn't eat tomatoes or, sugar or whatever.
His avocado ice cream.
Hey, I make avocado ice cream. It's delicious.
What is it? I don't know. I know that's like a joke. I'm just like basically regurgitating a hacky joke that I hear, but tell me, please.
So obviously I'm a huge foodie. That's, kind of a big conversation you and I had. In my home, I only eat modified paleo.
Okay.
So Sundays during football season, that's, a different story. That's kind of like a cheat day, whatever. I have a thing where my house, everybody brings an appetizer, and we watch Scott Hansen for 7 hours. That is my...
No one goes to the bathroom.
That's my church on Sunday, okay? Me and Scott Hansen, baby. Spicy dates every Sunday. But everybody brings something to share.
Okay.
So, like, somebody will bring charcuterie cookies, like, whatever. 6 or 7 of us get together. If, whatever. Other than that, modified paleo in the house. Avocado ice cream. I was dating this guy... maybe a year and a half ago now, for like a month. Sorry, Mom. She's gotta know. I'm 28 years old, okay? Anyways, he was like super fit, like triathlon, whatever those crazy people do. Broke up with me because I wasn't fit enough for him, that type, okay? And I told him that I could make avocados taste like chocolate pudding. He was like, you're full of shit. And I did it, and he got hooked on it. So fast, same recipe. You just take a bunch of avocados, put them in a food processor, chocolate powder, salt, little vanilla, spin it till it looks like pudding. You can either put it in the fridge and eat it if you want the pudding texture, or put it in the freezer and freeze it. Genuinely, avocado will take on any stronger flavor you put it with. That's why, like, people, like, if it has that texture, you can do it. Like, people do it with mayonnaise, people do it with chocolate. Like, anytime you overpower that flavor of avocado, which isn't hard to do, it naturally takes that on. So you can't be scared of fat, obviously, if that's something you want to do.
Okay.
But, like, if you want, like, a kind of a guilt-free chocolate situation.
Did you say you put sugar in it?
No.
No sugar. Just avocado and, like, so you could put, like, vanilla.
I would do, like,
could you
maple
put, like, fruit
syrup,
in it?
probably.
Oh, like agave or something, yeah.
Like, if it needed it, yeah.
What? So can you put fruit in it?
Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Like, that's not, like, an overpowering enough flavor.
Yeah.
I feel like it's got to be chocolate. Or if you wanted to put, like, a super strong, like, vanilla protein powder in it or something, I think you could get away with it.
All right.
But, like, a little bit of maple syrup if you like it sweet.
You've sold me. What is modified paleo? What is modified about it?
So, I'm the type where I think that, like, if you want to do oatmeal or, like, quinoa or sweet potatoes or, like, that type of thing, there's, like, a big argument in the paleo world of whether, or, like, some people will argue, like, the raw cheese, the raw milk, like, those types of things. Yeah. Which I'm on that side of it, as long as, like, you're getting good quality of whatever. But that's, like, kind of the divide of whether, like, you want sweet potatoes and quinoa or, like, you're just a hardcore asshole.
Right, yeah. I like that. I try to do the same, basically, like, Monday to Friday or Sunday to, Thursday, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Try to just, some version of that, like, Whole30 is kind of, to me, is like a more reasonable, but yeah, and then on the weekends I'll eat, like, the biggest asshole on the planet. Yeah. But, like, I don't feel great if I eat, like, crap every day.
I don't sleep well. I don't feel good. I don't want to wear clothes. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to sit on my couch and smoke weed.
Yeah.
And it's not the vibe. Although, not the vibe.
I know. And then that type of behavior once more, and all of a sudden you're drinking and you're staying up late, and it's tough.
Yeah.
It's good on the weekends, but. Yeah.
I'm pretty California sober. Like, I'll have a glass or two of wine maybe once a week, once every other week, something like that, but outside of that, my drinking days are kind of behind me.
Yeah. So vices are a little bit of weed.
Yeah.
A little bit of bad food on the weekends.
Yeah. Or, like, a situation like this, if I'm filming for a restaurant or whatever, like, I'm a human being.
Yeah. You got to give yourself a break.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate you making tonight one of the exceptions.
Hey, you said sushi, and I was already sold. No matter what it was, even if it was pasta,
It was almost pasta.
What would have been your choice for pasta?
Oh, if I was getting something for this, I would have gotten definitely one red, like a carbonara, probably.
Yum.
Something, a bunch of different various meats, and then I would have got, because it's summer, but maybe anyways, like some sort of linguine and clams.
Okay.
So I would have got like a white and a
Big clam guy.
I like clams. Don't know what to tell you. It's summertime. That, and then I would have got a bunch of like every kind of appetizer possible.
Okay, that's a good order. I trust your ordering from now on.
What's your Italian order?
Espresso, always.
Sure.
Doesn't matter. Always gonna get it.
Gotta.
I really like dessert first.
Okay.
I love tiramisu.
Okay.
My mom always tells people that she orders dessert first just in case she dies in the middle of her meal.
Very good.
So
Very
my
good.
mom's a big dessert gal, so I think that maybe, and I don't even love sweets.
Yeah.
It's just a tiramisu for me. Like that's the only place that I'll really get dessert before dinner unless I'm going to Encore to Rare. Their baked Alaska is so good, and I don't like eating something cold after dinner, so I feel like I have to get it ahead of time. So I'll get that. But I would say I love a carbonara or a gnocchi of some sort, or
Yeah.
if they do like a lot of Italian spots will do like a good soup as long as it's not summer. I love a good soup.
Yeah.
Big
Like cold
gal.
soup?
Anything.
Okay.
Love a gazpacho, love a warm soup.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about a liquid meal.
Yeah.
And it's clear that I have no issue eating whatever.
Yeah.
I just like to drink my food.
I agree.
Like a smoothie, a soup.
Like, do you like any like ramen, pho?
Oh yeah. Yes.
What do you
both.
do you have a spot? Like, do you have a place that you really like around here?
Lay's. L-E's. L-E Lay's.
Is
good.
that right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that place.
Huh? For ramen?
Yep.
Okay.
I like that place. And then there's a pho spot over, I think it might be technically Malden, over by where that Stop and Shop is.
Yeah.
I like that place for pho.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called, but I ordered DoorDash there so much that it's saved on my, that's
Yeah.
like my
It,
Sunday
pops up.
meal.
Yeah.
That is my Sunday, like, because it's like cheeky and like cheaty,
Yeah.
but not so much so that you feel awful. Like it's like broth and like rice noodles with veggies. Like I feel like that's like a good, all right. I don't need to go full back into like being a piece of like elite human right now, but like I also don't want to be a piece of garbage. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's a good in-between meal.
Yeah. The in between.
Yeah.
That's what we're all trying to live, right? Somewhere in the in
Just,
between.
you know, the gray area.
Yeah. Never elite. Never a piece of shit. Just.
Existing. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to look it up. Malden Medford border.
Yeah.
Pho.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like over in that Stop and Shop parking lot. Like there's a
I know exactly what the Stop and Shop
Yeah, there's
is.
a Dunkin' in that parking
Yeah, yeah.
lot. It's
Like on the
there's-
corner, right?
Yeah, there's that weird ice machine, and then there's a pho spot.
Yeah.
Like that, and it is a hole in the wall, like mom and pop type of place. Right there.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna look it up.
You can stop and get. I think the ice machine place is called Pure Water, so you can stop and get your ice on the way home.
Your need for ice. All right, so we'll just a couple more questions,
Yeah.
and then we'll call it a day.
Perfect.
So you mentioned you're going to Portland. Do you have any other trips coming up? Like where? What do you? I know you work a lot on the weekends. I
Yeah.
know you work during the week. Is it hard to travel? Is it hard to make time to do
Yeah,
stuff?
definitely. Especially because I work so many like different kind of here and there, like no real set schedule type of thing. But I am going to the UK for 2 weeks for work/pleasure.
Sure.
Because the Jaguars are over there for 2 weeks. I'm gonna work from home and then call in and probably do our shows either via phone or Zoom or whatever. But I'll be out there the middle of October. I'm going to the Bears and Jags game and then the Patriots Jags game.
Awesome.
And then I'll be in Miami for week 1 of the NFL. It's Jags Dolphins. So I'm literally getting off the air Saturday at like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Going to the airport, getting on a flight, going to Miami, there Saturday night, there Sunday, and then turning around and catching a red eye home so that I can be back for
That's awesome.
work.
I mean, you'll be beat, but you're gonna be so.
Oh yeah,
pumped.
like Miami is kind of like Vegas to me.
Yeah.
Like more than 48 hours,
I
and
agree.
you're really, what are you doing?
I agree.
Plus being in Miami in September.
Yeah, it's gonna be gross. I agree. Miami. I go to Miami for my company has an office there, so I go there, more often maybe than I should. And by like day 3, it's just like I gotta get the fuck out of this place.
Like everyone's like, oh, everyone, and like the food's really good. Don't get me wrong, the nightlife's really good. You can only do so much of it. But it's so hot.
Yeah.
And everyone's always like, oh, people are so hot. People are so hot. Not really.
Yeah, there is like this like self-perpetuating story about Miami that is like, you know, I guess it's like if you believe it, you'll see it everywhere, right? If you believe that like everyone is like, you know, walking down South Beach with a 6-pack or whatever, you'll see it. But it's like, yeah, it's just not. I'm not super impressed.
It's like being in LA. It's like Cuba in LA.
Yeah. It is like Cuba in LA. I was in last time I was in Miami. It was the last day, and I was like, oh, I gotta get out of here. And I was sitting getting just by myself eating, and lunch or brunch. And on one side, there was these 2 women, you know, who just looked like, you know, a lot of plastic surgery. You know, looked what you think. You know, older women who like, you know, weren't even really talking that much. And on the other side, there was 2 guys that were young guys that were talking about Bitcoin the entire time. And I just remember being like, I think this is like the most accurate Miami thing you can experience. Like 2 women that are, you know, loaded for bear with enhancements, and then 2 guys that are like talking about
talking about Bitcoin.
Literally only about Bitcoin for 90 minutes or an hour probably.
Just like hit a bump in the bathroom.
Yeah,
before breakfast.
For like 9:30 in the morning. And they had both, and the guys had just both moved to Miami, so they were like so excited. They were like, "This is our time,
probably
baby."
Renting their condo with Bitcoin.
Exactly. So that would be my like, this is Miami, or this is South Beach, I would say. This is, you know.
Yeah. I like Fort Lauderdale a little bit better because it doesn't feel so much like a stereotype, but I like the Miami nightlife is good. Yeah. I will say.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like, you know, if that's what you want, that's the best place in the world for it, right? But like, do you want that every weekend? Like, I don't think, certainly not now, but even in my younger days, I don't think so. You could do that every weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I could.
Okay.
But
all right.
But you got to remember, like, I don't really drink or do drugs or anything like that, so I don't really have like the.
You have a quick bounce back.
Yeah. Like, I could do a gummy and go, you know, see a sick DJ and go home and go to bed. Like, that's I just got back from Croatia. I did that for 10 days. And I still was like, all right. Yeah,
that's true. I went this year, I did 6 months without drinking, just to kind of see if I could. And it's like the bounce back. The thing is like, you're staying out super late while you're doing that. For me, it was like, if I'm not drinking at like 10:30, I was like, okay, I think I've done everything I need to do here. And I go home. I couldn't, but that like, the booze is the thing that like powers me to keep me going.
You gotta get like a little sativa gummy.
I know. I was just going straight
raw dogging it.
raw dogging life for 6 months. You learn a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I've done like a few weeks here and there, but 6 months, I don't know.
It was a lot. But now, but the thing is that like, you do feel amazing.
Yeah, I bet.
You feel like you're like, oh, this is probably how people are supposed to live.
Yeah.
But
although I've had this conversation twice this week.
Yeah.
The first people to like smoke weed or like try mushrooms and stuff like that. Yeah. How do you think that went?
I always think like, how many things did people smoke before they realized this is the right thing to smoke? Right? Yeah. Like, how many people died trying to smoke something or eat something or anything? Yeah, there's actually a theory. I don't know much about it. There's a theory, I think it's called the stoned ape theory, that apes found that a piece of our evolution was monkeys finding mushrooms, and like that kind of unlocked consciousness for humans, and it's why, like, you know, we're conscious basically. So there's a theory. Again, I'm not covering it correctly, but that mushrooms played like a pivotal role in our evolution and our consciousnness.
Okay, I don't hate that. Now I really want to go home and see if I can find a book about this to read at the pool.
I think there's a documentary about it on Netflix called, it's with Michael Pollan.
Michael Pollan is my favorite author. How have I not heard of this?
Yeah.
I've read all of his books.
I think it's called Change My Mind is the name. Did he write a book called that?
He wrote a book about LSD.
I think that the documentary is the same title as the book.
Okay, I'm a fat liar. That's the one book I haven't read, but that's his newest book.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he did like a self-study with LSD.
Yeah.
If you haven't read his books, like The Botany of Desire is so good. And The Omnivore's Dilemma, if you're a foodie, he's a great author, especially because he doesn't rely on outside sources to do his research. He does it all himself.
Okay.
So, like, The Botany of Desire is about, like, the few types of plants that have control over human beings instead of us controlling the agriculture of them. It's like weed, potatoes, tulips, and apples, I think, are the...
Tulips?
Yeah, tulips. And so, like, he, like, goes and does all the research. He, like, follows Johnny Appleseed's trail and how apples were kind of, like, the first sweetness that, like, the sugar, like, the first sugar that humans had, and that's how we got addicted to it, and how alcohol came out of it, and how there are apples in every climate across the world. So it's really, really interesting. But I didn't know that he had a documentary on Netflix.
Yeah, I'll find out. Send you. I think it's called Change My Mind.
Okay.
And it's about, I think each episode focuses on one. I haven't watched the whole thing. It's like 4 parts, I think, and it's like one is mushrooms. I think one is like peyote, ayahuasca, like all the kind of ethnogenic, or whatever the word is, plant medicines. Yeah,
he does a good cooking series with his son too. I think it's on YouTube if you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, his son, I think probably like my age, like mid-20s now, late 20s now, but was probably early 20s when they filmed it. But it's like him and his son like cooking and just like talking in their kitchen, and it's like a cute series. Okay. Very innocent. I definitely recommend it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I need some innocence in my life.
Don't we all?
on my YouTube
I found out that there's a Formula One team getting sponsored by OnlyFans today.
Oh. What is in store for that driver, I wonder?
I'm excited. Well, the best part about it is that it's like a 25-year-old, and then they have a rookie next year who's going to be driving the OnlyFans car, and he's like 19.
Is it like title sponsorship?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Gonna be on the car.
That's an interesting, good. Obviously, they've, you know, it's got. I don't. Do you know how much it costs to sponsor that?
I don't know. It's Alpine, so it's like not one of the. It's not like McLaren or Ferrari or whatever. Yeah. They're like kind of a bottom of the second half of the grid team, but they're not the worst team on the grid, so
no, that's
I would assume a lot of money.
Yeah,
like,
and then
good for OnlyFans.
Yeah, right. Like that's where they're
women empowerment.
This was like in the pandemic, I think, when I think OnlyFans blew up, and like, you know, like a lot of women or men or everybody were making money that way, right? Or people were taking up side kind of pieces. That OnlyFans at one point, their revenue was like, it was something crazy, like $1 billion, and they had like 50 employees. It was something, the numbers aren't right, but like they had just created this thing that was like self-sufficient and sustainable with like out that many people working on it, and it was just like they had money coming out of like, you know, their eyeballs because they.
Yeah, I think of all the data breaches now, and I'm like, imagine if there was like an OnlyFans data breach.
Yeah, I'm sure. There will be, right?
Like, I get that people are, you know, consensually selling whatever they're selling, but imagine, like...
Right? Well, it could be bad if, like, people signed up and never did anything with it, or, like, you know, it's... I mean, there was... I don't know if this was a long time ago, but there was... You know what Ashley Madison is? It's like a... It was a... I don't know if it still exists. This was probably 15 years ago. It was a way... It was Match.com for people who wanted to have affairs.
Okay.
And so you could, you know.
So like Tinder.
Yeah, exactly. Much, but like on a website, and like with like profiles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Much like you know, 2009 Tinder, but it's part of like, I think like some other larger network. Anyways, there was a data breach. And there was a website that you could search someone's email address. Someone made a website that just had like all the backend, so you could go. And I remember like typing all my friends' email addresses in. I found one.
You did?
I did. I never said anything to anyone. I'll never tell anyone. But I didn't. You know, he's still married. But yeah, someone took the data, put it on a site, and then added like a search function, and
That's
you could just
cheeky from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just went in and I was like, what am my dumb friends doing?
Well, so you have to put in your social security number on OnlyFans. So if anybody ever runs a background check on you and you even signed up for their payment, it's going to show that you paid taxes to OnlyFans.
Oh, I wonder if women know that. Or men. I keep saying women. I know there are men creators on there as well.
Yeah. Men do really well on OnlyFans because you got to think it's not only mostly men getting off to whatever you're posting, but...
Yeah, and a lot of men are looking for other men.
Yeah.
Yeah. I once saw a man filming for OnlyFans in a parking lot that I think he thought was empty.
Was it solo?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. I did.
That's probably somebody's fetish. You might be in the background of an OnlyFans.
Yeah. You better get my cut.
Yeah. You better put your social security number.
Some people pay
there.
more for that for getting caught, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just me in the corner.
Do you think there's like a parking lot fetish? Because there seems to be a fetish for like I get that there's like a public, whatever.
Yeah, I it's gotta be. I mean, I listen. I think there's something.
There's furries out there.
I think there's everything. I think people want.
I'm
everything.
sex positive. I'd like it to be, as long as you're not hurting anybody and it's consensual, do your thing. But furries are out there, so there's got to be parking lot people.
A parking lot thing. Something about like a big empty parking lot.
Yeah.
I would say. I think that if you can think it, there is someone out there
My strange addiction. People marry like their car.
Yeah. People marry a Ferris wheel.
Yep.
Or whatever that.
Yep.
You seen that one?
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a fair. It was like some sort of a ride.
It was like an amusement park ride.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So in the grand scheme of things, a parking lot fetish is probably fairly
pretty
tame.
PG.
Yeah.
People probably think I'm a furry because I have a Winnie the Pooh onesie that I wear to Bruins games.
It's possible.
And I have to get on the orange line dressed like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably someone out there that
thinks I'm a furry.
Yeah. Or like has a Winnie the Pooh thing.
Oh, yeah. All right. What's weirder, a poo fetish or a parking lot fetish?
Oof. I would say maybe Winnie the Pooh only because of like the child aspect of it.
That's fair.
Right? Like parking lot is like, I don't know if it's danger
you gotta be
or
at
there's
least
like
16 to be there maybe.
There's something about it that it can be is conceivable. Whereas like Winnie the Pooh is like, there's like some trauma, right? That's like super deep in there that you are not addressing. Yeah. So I would say Winnie the Pooh kink worse or less desirable than
all right.
Parking lot kink.
Valid.
Yeah. Well, God bless. And I'm gonna go home and.
Honey, how was work today?
Yeah, look up some things that are gonna scare my wife. Cool. Well, I think that's kind of.
You want to end it on that?
I mean, I think this has been really great. I'm happy to go as long as you want, but I think
we can end it on the Winnie the Pooh fetish.
Yeah, sure. That's the best way to end it.
Really had to hold out through the episode to get to the cream.
That's it. Yeah, that's the sound bite we're going with. Leading all the promotion. No, yeah. I mean, let's do this. Like, so would love to talk. I guess, you've been here for a few years. I think you have blended with the community like remarkably well. I know this is not an easy place, I think, to come in, right? Like most of the people in sports media are like from here, right? Like there's not a lot of outsiders, right? And so I think you've done like a really wonderful job at what I'm sure is one, kind of like an old boys club, and two, just like from guys that probably have all known each other for like 30 years, right? So I think that's like really like quite an accomplishment. So congratulations. And I guess like, where do you, what is the next couple years hold for you? Where are you like giving your attention? I know you we talked a lot about this, and so maybe it's just, something you already talked about, but like, for you, for Kendra, for the next, 2, 3, 4 years, like where are you trying to give your attention and your energy?
So I think if you asked me this question a year ago, my answer would be a lot different, but I think that I don't know if it was like my frontal lobe finally developed a little late and it's no longer, like a packet of Jell-O. It's like chilled in the refrigerator for a couple days. But I think like the big thing to me now, like I've always been like a big career person. I've wanted to chase these accomplishments. I've wanted to, kind of break barriers for women in the sports scene just because like I want to make it easier for the next me. Mm-hmm. But I really just as much as I'm like a driven person and I'm really putting my effort into, the Formula One thing and the radio and social media and whatever, I kind of just think that this next couple years for me, I want to let whatever's meant for me take the reins. Mm-hmm. Like I'm one of those people that I feel like whatever's meant for me is going to find me. And as long as I'm being a decent human being, I'm growing as a person, I'm working hard, I have passions like outside of work, things that I'm doing, activities, stuff like that, whatever I'm meant to find is going to equally find me. So I think that it's as much as it's like awesome for the people to sit there and be like, oh, you know, like, I want to be a Patriots beat writer by 30, or I want to have this job by 30, or I want to, you know, own my first property or whatever. I think that's awesome. But I'm kind of in a phase of my life where I don't want to limit myself and say, I want this, because what I wanted 2 years ago and what I'm going to want 2 years from now is going to be different. Right. So my answer is, I don't know.
Yeah, good. But that's right. Like, you know, there's that saying that, like, if you think of yourself 5 years ago and you're like, that person rules, then, like, that means you haven't grown, right? You haven't evolved, you haven't developed. Like, you should be embarrassed by yourself of the past because of all the growth you've done between then and now. Yeah. So I think that's right. It's every day. Just, what do I want to do today? Yeah. Get up and do it.
As long as I'm working hard and I don't hate my life, like, I'm where I'm meant to be.
Yeah. I hope you don't hate your life. You're doing some
cool
stuff.
My life's pretty baller. Yeah, I can't complain. I'm eating sushi with you. Patriots camp's going on. I'm going to go home and watch football in the Olympics. Like,
what's not to like?
Got a cute dog.
What kind of dog?
I have an Australian Shepherd.
Oh, wow.
Jackson Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm. Named after?
Jacksonville, and an offensive lineman at my college who hated my dog, so I decided to brand him with him forever.
Ah, that's good.
Shout out Jeff Carter.
That's right, Jeff. Fuck you.
Yeah, so he's Jackson Jeffrey. And it is stuck, like, real bad. He is Jackson Jeffrey across the internet.
That also sounds like a Southern name.
Yeah. Well, he's from Tennessee. He is a real Southern gentleman. Okay. Although he loves the color pink, so.
He does. My mom's dog is from Arkansas.
Hell yeah.
And he's such a spoiled little brat. And every time it's like, you know, you were from the streets of Arkansas. And now you're living
Remember where you're from.
Cambridge, Massachusetts, and you won't eat, like, anything other than the most
he gets tummy aches. Like, don't get me wrong. He's brilliant. He's obedient. He's cute. He's, you know, hard worker. All the things. He's an Aussie. Whatever. He forgets where he comes from sometimes. I'll tell you that. Like, this dang dog was supposed to get shot in the face with a shotgun because he had mismarkings and couldn't be AKC registered, and he was too shy to herd cattle. And I bought him for $50 out of the back of a van. And he decides to get a tummy ache when his food's off. Like, please.
That's to go back to the parent who wants the soft kid, right? Now you've created the softness.
Hey, I am the softness, though, because you know what I do when he has a tummy ache? I get on the floor with him and I kiss his forehead and I tell him it's okay, he's not in trouble, because he thinks that he's in trouble when he gets sick, and that makes me so sad.
That is a sad thing.
Do you know what I'm talking about, though? How dogs get, like, guilty when they get sick, and it's like, it's okay, just don't puke on my bed.
They are the best. They just feel bad about everything.
I know.
Or just want to love.
Yeah.
Well, Jackson Jeffrey, I hope he's having a good night.
He's watching the Olympics.
He's having a good time.
I left them on for him.
Oh, good. Cool. Well, yeah, Kendra, thank you so much. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate having you, and good luck.
Thanks, you too.
All right.
Don't see no solution.